All right, guys. Coach Smith's running a little late, but since Dustin's here, we'll go ahead and start with Dustin and get him so he can get out of here. So y'all can go ahead and start asking questions to Dustin Plott.
Hey, Dustin, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. Well, obviously, start of the season's been really good for you. Haven't lost yet, but the last few have been a little bit more closely contested than your first four, where you won by bonus points. What do you think? You think that's more you or them starting to learn, maybe get a little bit more feel for what you are going to run out on the mat with?
I think it's just the level of competition has been getting higher. As season's going on, guys are getting in better shape and been on the mat longer. And so I don't think it's anything necessarily I'm doing wrong. I'm keeping guys in matches that probably I shouldn't be keeping in matches. But I think the level of competition has definitely been higher.
Well, speaking of that higher level of competition, this upcoming weekend, you got the two guys ranked ahead of you are both supposed to come in from Wyoming and Missouri. Have you been able to look at them? What's your expectation going up and finally getting your first real opportunity of guys that are ranked to go up against?
I'm definitely really excited for it. I've watched them a little bit. I don't really watch a lot of film, but they're both tough guys, but I definitely think if I wrestle the way I wrestle, it shouldn't be any issues.
Now, with this being more of a tournament this weekend instead of your duels, how excited are you for that? Just to get that kind of feel for what postseason is going to be like for you at the college level. Obviously, you've been in plenty of tournaments, but obviously it's going to be a little bit different being at D1 tournament.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't wrestled a tournament in a really long time, so I'm just excited to get back wrestling tournaments, especially my first, as you mentioned, D1 tournament. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not going to treat it any differently, but definitely very excited for this weekend.
Thanks, Dustin.
Hey, Dustin, I just realized, your manager, Keenan Seymour, it's his senior year, his last semester here. I know you're kind of new, you're just a freshman, but what has Keenan meant to the OSU wrestling program?
Keenan has meant a lot to the program. Everything he does, a lot of stuff that people don't realize that he does, from getting us stuff to eat after weigh-ins, making sure we got clean clothes, and really being a good, dependable guy, and definitely a friend and someone to talk to anytime that anyone on the team needs it. So my short time here, he's been a tremendous help, and I'm sure over the past 4 or 5 years he's been here, it's been even more so.
Thanks.
Dustin, I guess my question kind of goes just like Adams did. You're losing your athletic trainer, Chris Hinderleader. What's he meant to the program?
I haven't been here very long, but since I've been here, I've had a couple minor tweaks this season, and he's been very great at rehabbing and getting me feeling back great. And he's always doing that. We always got, there's always someone a little tweaked or a little banged up, and he's really good at getting us back healthy and getting us back feeling good. So I think he spent around 15 years here. I'm sure in that time he's been a tremendous help.
Thank you, Dustin.
Yeah, Dustin, UCO was originally part of this weekend. They've had to pull out since, but is that a little disappointing for you that they're not going to be there? There are a lot of Tuttle guys on that roster.
Yeah, it is a little disappointing. They got a lot of Oklahoma guys on the team that I've grown up with wrestling with or wrestled with. So I was really looking forward to seeing those guys, and especially seeing those guys compete against some D1 guys, just because they got a very tough team, especially for D2. And I was curious to see how they line up with a lot of the D1 guys. So it's a little bit of a disappointment.
I appreciate it.
Hey, Dustin, Dayton's suspension ends this week, and I'm wondering what it was like from a teammate's perspective to see him, go through what he went through and see him kept off the mat.
Yeah, it was a little weird. He's still definitely a leader and works very hard in the room. And if you saw him, you wouldn't think that he's been, not been able to compete just because he trains at such a high level all the time. And yeah, it's going to be really cool to see him back on the mat.
Thanks.
Dustin, obviously you're at a weight that's had technically a returning starter from a year ago in Anthony Montalvo. Obviously, he dealt with COVID and contact tracing, all this other stuff that kind of led to you getting this opportunity. But how have you seen him responding from everything that he's had to battle through off the mat over the past few months?
Yeah, but Anthony, he's a really tough guy, and he's bouncing back from all that, and he's back training hard and back to normal. And yeah, he's just a tough guy. I don't think it really matters what gets thrown at him. He's going to prevail through it and continue to be a competitor.
How much have you leaned on him maybe a little bit to help you with this adjustment being in that starting lineup?
I have a little bit. I've spoken to him, because college wrestling is a little bit different than high school wrestling about kind of what to expect, what to do in certain positions, and he's definitely been a help to me adjusting to the college competition life.
And I mean, how tough is that? Because I mean, both of you obviously competitors want to be in the starting lineup, but knowing that there's only that one spot for the two of you.
I mean, it's a little tough, but it's nothing personal. We're still good friends. Everyone's good friends on the team, and I think everyone's pretty much willing to help each other. And yeah.
Well, because I mean, you've got a former high school teammate who's kind of in a similar situation up there at 197 with Luke having to sit behind AJ. So I mean, I'm sure you're also talking to him. How is he handling this? Having to sit and not be in the starting lineup for the first time in quite some time, I'm sure, for him.
Yeah, I haven't really ever talked to him specifically about that, but I think what's great about this year is the extra matches. So every weekend that we've got to compete, he's got to compete. So I think this season's definitely a lot different. And I mean, I know it's something I'd like to see to continually happen is those extra matches, just because, we have a deep lineup, and it allows for a lot of these better guys and better freshmen to get matches in.
Appreciate it.
Is there any other questions for Dustin Plott? All right, thanks, Dustin.
Thanks.
All right, we're still waiting on Coach, so whenever he gets here, I'll start the video up again and we'll be ready to go.
Where you go?
He was on there. All right, guys, we're ready to go with Coach Smith.
Hey, Coach.
John, hey John, how's how's it been out of the ranch? I'm sure around this time you're having to bust up that pond again.
It's been tough. All the ice out there, you get out there outside town, there's nobody putting any dirt down or sand down. So it's
yeah, and there's quite a few hills out that way too.
a little more work than I want, put it that way.
Well, obviously today's a big day for one of your wrestlers, Dayton Fix, officially off the suspension. I'm sure he and you have been counting the days. What's it been like for him these past few weeks, knowing that he's going to be getting back on the mat finally?
Oh, he's excited. It's been a long journey. It's we thought we could get him back earlier than this. But some rules kind of forced us to stretch it out a little bit longer than we hoped. But in the end, we fought pretty hard for him. I appreciate his lawyer in Oklahoma State standing behind him. I said it from the beginning. He did not take anything to try to enhance his performance. That was proven. And that, I think for somebody like Dayton, that's important. He's a good young man that loves wrestling, and it's good to see him in a better place after 1 year.
I know Dustin commented that it doesn't doesn't if you saw him in practice, it wouldn't seem like he was not wrestling, not getting to compete. The way he was training was still that high level that Dayton expects of himself. How big do you think that was, the fact that he didn't view this as a time to maybe pull back and whatnot, the fact that he wanted to constantly get better even though he wasn't going to be able to compete?
Well, I think anytime we lose something we love, things tend to get real serious, and he loves wrestling, and that timeout, like you said, he's been in the room. He's our team leader, whether he was on the mat wrestling for us or whether he was in practice. He's the guy that has led this team, since he's been at Oklahoma State. And so it's good to see him with the chance to compete here at home, and once again show our team how we should be wrestling.
I know he's obviously a highly competitive guy. He's been in a lot of international events, but do you maybe have to temper him a little bit this weekend? Make sure he doesn't go out too hard, too quick with having not competed in over a year?
Well, that's a good point. You're going to have some rust no matter what. You haven't competed in a year, and you're ready. And if we see some rust, we see some rust. But I'm not going to hold him back. He's not going to listen to me on that. Get out there and push yourself. And if we see some issues or some problems, we got time. We got a lot of time. We have Bedlam left. 2 weeks later, we have the Big 12. So it's not that something that we can't fix in a hurry if we need to.
We touched on it when we talked about the schedule and really the timing of this tournament coming right after he gets off of suspension. How beneficial do you think that's going to be for him? Of his first time out there is going to be multiple matches instead of one or two duels.
Well, it's a good question. This tournament was not was set up for Dayton Fix. Knowing that when they gave us the date that he was eligible, which is today, the 10th, we thought maybe we could move it back a week, but through that, it just didn't materialize. But it's good. I kind of lost my thought there. What was your question?
Just the him getting to wrestle in the tournament to open up.
He needs matches. One, we didn't know at the time early when we were setting this tournament how many matches you were going to need in order to qualify for the NCAA championship, an automatic qualifier. And so we need to get Dayton 4 matches, and those matches have to be matches that are not wrestled against your own teammates. So it can be a little bit tricky. I mean, it may be a little tricky for us to get him 4. This is the bracket at 33, looks like it might be the smallest. So we need to find 4 matches. So, and what that does for the conference, it allows for someone else at 133 to go to the championships. If we don't get those 4 matches in before the Big 12, then Dayton's not an automatic qualifier. Therefore, he's going to have to win the Big 12 in order to go to the NCAA championship. So with that, we want to get him 4, so it put us in a position to be able to take another 133-pounder from the conference.
Yeah. So basically, to clarify, the conference wants you to get him 4 matches in.
Absolutely. Yeah. We need to get those 4. And we'll get them. It's just how we're going to have to get them. So it'd be nice if we could pick up 3 this weekend, but again, we might have to do that bracket in a round robin. We need the coaches to agree to it. If they don't agree to it, then it could be a little bit of a problem. But if we lose another team to something, weather, something, that could be a setback for us. So I think in the end, we're going to get the conference coaches to do whatever it takes, because I think several of our 33 pounders in the conference have potential to qualify.
Considering you've lost a team for this tournament, have you guys, and it sounds like you don't have a complete feel yet, but what the hope is, how many matches each bracket will try to get? Do you have a feel for that yet?
Yeah, our goal was to have 80 wrestlers compete. That's still our goal. We'll just have to wait and see as we go forward with Central Oklahoma not participating. Definitely would have loved to have been here. Todd Stiley, good friend of mine. But we're allowing for some of the other teams to bring extra guys over and beyond what we kind of set. I think we set it at 16, and now that we've lost a full team, we want to try to fill those brackets up. And so what does that mean? Hopefully it means, everybody brings a few extra and allows us to maybe, wrestle 20 to 25 guys.
Okay. Thanks, John.
But it's still being ironed out, and it still needs to be approved by all the coaches.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Hey, Coach, I was just wondering, this is Keenan Seymour, the manager. This is his last semester. What, in his 5 years here at OSU, what has Keenan meant to the OSU wrestling program?
Yeah, he's been incredible. I've been fortunate with our managers, but Keenan, I think the nice thing about Keenan was a wrestler. His brothers wrestle, his sister wrestles, his whole family wrestles. His dad coaches. He's got a real love for the sport. And when you have a real love for the sport, you're kind of prepared for what is required of this job. I'm going to tell you, I don't think there's another manager in any other sport that has to do what our manager has to do. It's amazing. We have weigh-ins. We eat before we wrestle, and this all falls on the manager's, plate, and working out twice a week, getting the laundry done working out twice a day, sometimes getting the laundry done. So he's played a big role, and, he never complains, it hasn't all gone smooth, but I'll tell you, he's made a big difference in just allowing our guys to be prepared for practice, be prepared for matches. And I think that a lot of them appreciate Keenan. They've got close relationship with him, and it's nice to see our student athletes respect what he does.
I remember, Coach, at the beginning of the season, you talked about how, in your eyes, the Big 12 as a wrestling conference is improving. This Sunday, it is a lot of competition, a lot of talent coming to town. I mean, how excited are you for your guys to see, top talent, especially in the loaded bracket of 197, 74, and then Missouri as a team?
Yeah. This is what we're looking for. Be ready. 3 matches. Back-to-back matches, similar to what we've been doing, is trying to wrestle, early and then one late. This tournament, as you notice, we moved the starting time to 11, and it goes to the finals, and the consolation finals at 4. So not a lot of time in between. So we're going to get 3 matches for those smaller guys, 3 matches within the 5-hour period, which I like. I think it's gives you an opportunity to build on your performance. So whether you win or whether you lose, it gives you a chance to build on your performance, like a open tournament would do, where you're going and wrestling 4 or 5 matches a day. And what you hope for is you hope to see in events like those open tournaments, hope to see improvement with each match. And so this is a scenario that hopefully our starters get 3 full matches, and we see a performance that gets better each and every match.
Thanks, Coach.
Especially as they, in the championship bracket, as things get tougher, that's when you want to see them perform and see better performance each match.
Thanks, Coach.
Welcome.
Yeah, John, you mentioned earlier kind of having to get everything approved by all the other coaches in the tournament. Kind of what does that process look like? I imagine that can be kind of hectic with all the different moving
Well, my
parts.
assistants, just rankings and seedings, making sure that they feel comfortable where their guy sits in the bracket. We've had a few upsets with Wyoming and West Virginia's number 1 ranked guy got beat against Wyoming at 197, but yet in the national seeds, he did not move ahead of him because of a loss that the Wyoming athlete had. So, you're really not in this business to be seeding until the Big 12. So just making sure that they feel comfortable where they're at, and give them an opportunity to speak their mind, and then ultimately we got to make a decision on where we're putting guys and what their seeds are.
Is there a time where you hope to have that ironed out by?
Well, this is one of those scenarios that we just need to make sure everybody gets here, so I hate to release any kind of brackets until as late as possible, and that might be Saturday afternoon. Once we see everybody got into Stillwater, we've changed a few things already with this event, and there's been some changes obviously with UCO out. So we're just going to wait till Saturday, and hopefully we'll get in your hands and for the public to have a bracket that we know these guys, they're actually in town, they are wrestling. So it'll be late Saturday.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
John, we talked with Dustin just a bit ago, and looking at the rankings, if Wyoming and Missouri are able to make it, he's the guys ranked right ahead of him. The top 2 and the next 2 are from those programs. How important is it for someone like him who hasn't gotten the opportunity to wrestle a ranked wrestler to get some of these top tier guys to get a feel for where he's at really?
Well, you'd like to see that. I mean, they got to bring them. One, you don't know how it's all going to iron out. People unfortunately get a little bit goofy, and I never understood why you run from competition. It makes no sense to me, but we never do. And that might be why I've been here for 30 years, is we get the matches we need and we prepare ourselves, and regardless of what happens, we're well prepared. So let me just share this with you about Dustin. Whatever happens with his bracket, he's got guys in the workout room that can test him every day. And so he's got a 65 pounder that's tougher. That's really tough. He's got an 84 pounder that's really tough. He doesn't have to get tested. He can test himself every day if he wants to. But we would like for him to. We would like to have those matches.
Well, then obviously at his own weight, he's also got a last year's starter when he's out there when he's available. He's
Montalvo. Yeah, Montalvo. Is made. He's trying to make that weight down, but it's been a tough year for him. I think we've talked about that once, and you just get caught behind. It's hard to catch up. It's you get caught behind in January, and trying to catch up in February can be a real challenge.
Well, I know you see it all the time, but I'm sure do you feel for guys like that where, they lose that starting job because of injury, or in his case, a pandemic that's ongoing?
Yeah, and that's, I've looked at this a lot differently, as the season went on with why they gave everyone another year. It makes it real challenging on coaches from the standpoint of scholarships. It makes it real challenging. This senior class this year in the nation in high school um, is going to kind of be cheated out of a little bit of opportunity. So I understand it a lot more. That you realize that there's a lot of scenarios that play out and can happen, and for us, Maltavo's one. So. Um, it's good to know that he's not losing a year and that he'll have this year back. And if he doesn't wrestle for us, he's got that opportunity. And I'm appreciative now a lot more about that year back than I was early on.
Thanks.
Hey, Coach, just real quick, you're losing your athletic trainer of 9 years. Can you kind of talk about what Chris has meant to the program?
Yeah, I'm losing my athletic trainer and my manager, and Chris, it's a job that's not thanked enough. I'll tell you that much. It's you get them experience, and then it's really all automatic. They know what to expect from me. Um, I'm always screaming and yelling at the trainer. Because most of the time when they come to you, they've got bad news. And sometimes you see him coming and you see his face, and I run off the other way because I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me the verdict on Brock. I think I avoided him for 2 days. I knew what it was, but I just didn't want him telling me because, so, they're always giving you news, and when you got 40 guys, they got to get to know you, so, when I scream at you or I say something stupid, he got to the point where it's okay, go on, and 2 hours later, it's, you forgot about it, so that's why I say, they take care of a lot of students. He's took care of Boo. He took care of Cade. He's taken care of some guys that had long season career injuries that wasn't just your normal injuries that took 6 months to recover from, and not a lot of help. There's not someone that's in the room with him that can do the tape jobs and can do some of those things that takes a little pressure off of him. He's a one-man show for 40 athletes, and it's unfortunate. That's not the way it should be, but most institutions, everyone gets one. So anyway, he'll be missed. I'm excited about Nick, who stepped in, who's been here. He worked a little bit at Northern Colorado with the wrestling team there. So he's got some experience and some knowledge. And what I've seen the last couple of days, he's done a nice job. But Chris will always be special to us all because he's taking care of a lot of student athletes. No student athletes don't care. They don't forget about that. They know who got them back to the mat, and it's not me, it's your trainer.
Thank you, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
With all these guys leaving, have you told Calcano he can't leave?
Yeah. I hope he, I don't need him leaving. Yeah, I think he's happy here, but there's been several times that people have come after him, and fortunately he stayed, and I think he enjoys the staff that he has around him, both in football and even here in our administration. So does a fine job, but you do have turnaround. I mean, I think of all my assistant coaches over the years that's moved on, and they're just there is that turnaround that you don't like, but in the same time, it creates opportunities for others.
Coach, what did Dayton's day to day look like while he was away from wrestling? How was he able to stay in shape and all that stuff?
Dayton Fix.
Yep.
you know, there's just a level of there's a level of work that he has, and I think um, there was a couple times during the season, and you guys will get to talk to him. I mean, after he wrestles, I just didn't feel like right now it was a good time for him to be talking about anything because he hadn't wrestled in so long, and he stays focused on preparing. And but after the tournament, you'll get that opportunity to learn a little bit more about his year. Um, it's a scary thing, when you're looking at losing 4 years, and that was the maximum. It was a 4-year ban. That's scary when they're telling you, if that this, and this needs to happen for you to get the minimum. And the minimum is no matter, whether you intentionally did, or we obviously know there was no intention in anything that was in his system. And it was so minute that it was like a grain of salt in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. So you guys know that. But yet you have to find why it's in your system, and that's a process that got a little bit scary because you do get the maximum. So I think until we, the good thing is everything went the way we hoped it to go. We held strong on knowing that he intentionally did nothing. And again, I'll say that the athletic department had a lot of trust in us, telling them that, hey, there's a mistake here. We'll find it. So it's nice to have support, and it's nice to that he's back. And to answer your question, he never missed a beat when it came to workouts. I mean, that's something he does every year. It's something he's done for a long time, and I think we motivated him to just, hey, the best outcome's going to come. There's no alternative. We're gonna get the best outcome. When it didn't look real good, we felt like there's a way we'll find a way to get the best outcome. So hopefully, we kind of relieved him of some of that pressure that his career would be over if it was a 4-year ban. So it's a long answer, but it was a long time for him to be off, and a lot of things happened in that process. And the one thing that did happen was he held on to his hopes and dreams that this would come to an end soon.
And what are you looking forward to most now that that whole process is behind him now?
Oh my goodness. We got our leader back. I mean, I think you ask any coach, go do this without your leader. He's our leader. Dayton Fix leads this team, and he has since he's been here, and he was when he was setting a year out, and now we get to watch him again. We get to watch him on the mat, and hopefully he'll continue to give us examples of his teammates, give him examples of how we need to be wrestling.
Thanks.
I'm excited. I mean, man, it's good to have him back. Just really good to have him back. And for two reasons. One, he's fun to watch wrestle. He's good to wrestle. But two, he earns everything that he accomplishes, and it's just good to see that, have that on your team, and people being able to notice. They all know why Dayton Fix is real successful in wrestling. It's not hard. You just come to the wrestling room and you see it every day. It's not because he's got all kinds of talent, and and he does some certain things that is unusual. That's not the case. The case is because he busts his tail every day and as hard as anyone on the team, and he cares about his team. And so with that, everybody's excited to see him back.
If they don't cancel the Olympics in Japan, I know there's been rumors of that possibly happening. Is he hoping to try to qualify for that still?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. I think we've seen last week that they moved the trials out of Penn State, and so I think it's going to end up, rumor has it maybe somewhere in Dallas, and so when I don't know, it could be, the date that they had for the event in Pennsylvania. We don't know whether that's going to change or not. So we'll get word of it pretty quick, but I think still anyone that's wanting to try out for the Olympics as a college student athlete, it's going to be pretty quick following up nationals. I mean, it's not going to be long, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It's going to be short. So I don't know that we look at that as a disadvantage. I would look at it as an advantage. You're in such good shape, folk style, that we just got to make some transitions on the style of wrestling.
So honestly, that was almost the unintended added bonus of the way his suspension fell, and then the Olympics being pushed back. He's still getting the opportunity to at least attempt to qualify for these Olympics.
Yeah. I mean, what what an opportunity. He doesn't lose any eligibility from the standpoint of at Oklahoma State. Last year was still considered an Olympic redshirt year. This year is considered a free year for him. So the only thing last year really ends up being is Olympic redshirt, and sitting out obviously. So there's definitely some, up above have been taking good care of him and all of us. So just real appreciative kind of how it all turned out.
So technically, without this year counting, he can technically wrestle for 4 more years. So he could become the first ever 5-time All-American at Oklahoma State.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
We just we got the ruling the other day.
All right.
So it really served what he did. He served the USADA ban for 1 year, and USADA's ban was, from this date to this date, you can't wrestle. And what happened following, during that year that Dayton was ineligible from February the 10th to 2020 to February the 10th, 2021, the Olympics was canceled. Olympics was moved to the following summer. The trials didn't exist. So just a lot of things, that worked in his way that is going to allow him to be able to compete for the Olympic team. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, John.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Coach.
it. You bet.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks,
Reed.
Reed.